Sure, I agree that we don't have permits for the decks. We are under the understanding that if it was somehow in translations, that if they were temporary, they didn't need a permit. I talked to Cameron, he sent me the things that if this goes through what we need to get compliant for the pit, we don't have any issues with that. As far as doing any construction without a permit, that's not true. The state and that inspection would have nailed us to the wall. We can repair things. The sewer district knows exactly what I'm doing. He called, sewer district, they came out and took a look for him and that. And one time we were digging at night, believe it or not, we found a break that basically coming through our pipe, which we own, hooks to his house, and we fixed it, okay? Or otherwise it could have maybe been something different. So we don't wanna be glued to the neighbors. As far as parking in front of his house, I don't have a problem moving my trailer or my truck away from his house. When I bought the place, there was like 7 or 8 dilapidated, non-covered boats, and trailers with no license plates. It took me a bunch of weeks to do. So it's just the word of park. I can move my trailers down to satisfy him, courtesy type of deal. As far as, I don't know what it relevant, as far as the neighbors not liking me on the road easement or whatever, doesn't have anything really to do with the campground. As far as all the violations he's quoted on there, none of them are precedent because we haven't did any construction per se. And as far as the Army Corps of Engineers, as far as the gravel goes in the waterways, we're not in any of the waterways or anything like that. So, I don't know, unless you guys have any questions for me, I'm just trying to get along with the neighborhood and try to clean the place up. Okay?
Thanks, sir. Okay, we're gonna call the public comments portion of the meeting closed on this special exception. So we have questions, comments from the board.
Cindy, on reading through this and everything, the city of Indiana has recognized, I think, for at least 25 years as being a mobile, or being an RV park. Can we testify it's not? He's not in compliance now? It started in '63, started before the zoning started.
You mean as a mobile home park or as a camp park?
But the city of Indiana recognizes this for 25 years as being an RV park. That's what that thing said.
And that's what, there's no record of it going to a BZA meeting for that to be changed to the zoning laws, which is what.
But you know that when it started, at some point in time, it was changed from mobile home park to an RV park, from the state point of view.
I don't know that, I don't, yeah,
I
it's
don't
not,
know that either.
yeah, that's not
So it's
something
always
that,
been an RV park, is my question.
I don't know how you would know.
I asked that specific question if I may, and they haven't been able to find anything that it was a mobile home park. But we haven't found the original, like, date it started as a campground, but, so I can't,
with the ABCD mobile home park was, that name was given to it somehow, that's your name to it, but at some point mobile home was incorporated with the property.
well, my operating
So
company is
that's-
called Lake Freeman Mobile Home and Camping Resort. So we had to make it smaller, and actually now, since that was so long, we put a sign up and went through the proper channels, Lake Freeman Resort Marina, tried to.
I think Jacobs had an ABCD mobile home park. I mean, that's what he called it.
That's prior owner.
No. Jacobs was called Cedar Crest, or their company was called Cedar Crest Investments, and I purchased it from Jack, the old man. And it took a little longer because he couldn't get his ducks in a row every time he did. And that's why we didn't close till the end of August, but, it's supposed to close in April. And, that's who I bought it from, and you know, I'm here right on whatever saying that. I talked to Mike, he's the guy on the thing. Kavanaugh was the last inspector, he was retired at the end of '97. Knew him. James King is the new inspector. I did not wanna buy a mobile home park. If he'd have told me it was a mobile home park, we wouldn't be sitting here, because I wouldn't be here.
Does he have to prove he's that, or do we have to prove he's out of compliance?
if we were to grant a special exception for it, you know, he would have to be in compliance with all the rules that we have in our zoning ordinance as it stands today. And any other additional restrictions we might put on there, such as a green space around between his campground and other residential dwelling units. You know,
Correct.
you know, there's certain requirements.
We require it before, we require it to be done before the exception is granted.
You can make a part of the motion. Is that correct, Cindy? Yeah. It can be part of the,
So I'm suggesting that, you could say you have to plant the green belt before it's approved? Or you could-
No, that could be
no.
part of,
Yeah, I get that. I was gonna say, cause that'd be kinda risky on my part, cause I wouldn't know what's gonna get approved when it on there.
it would be.
I can mention
We
it.
granted, but you have to do this.
Right.
So.
If I could mention up on the top part where there's 5 homes, there's that great big green field there. And I can tell you what they were looking at before, it's better looking at what we've got. It looks like if previous, there's some pine trees that run down on, it's like which side you plant them on, cause there's this 25-foot roadway in there that's changed over the years, and you got it surveyed, it might be right up against the houses. So, I'm just suggesting that, planting trees all the way along that thing, obviously, you know, maybe 3 foot tall, whatever it is. There's a big green field there, I mean, and down below, where you live and you live next to me, I live between you two guys. That, basically, their site hasn't changed, the trailers have, and they're, like you testified, like, for years, 20 years, the same way. So, I mean, we've cleaned the park up dramatically, not real fun.
The question I've got is that, one of the requirements is the recreational vehicle park coincides with that of a residential district other than along a thoroughfare or an alley. A yard of at least 25 feet in width shall be required. So, you have 25 feet from
Yes.
any recreational vehicle to an adjoining property owner, homeowner's, property lines.
Yes, well, yes, there is, because the roadway in front of all those lots are 25 feet. Which is an easement, it's not their property, it's a roadway. I'm 25 feet from their property, and these trailers are all the way across the field. Now, down where he's at, again, from the front of their property line, there's a 25-foot roadway, and then there's probably 4 to 6 feet, and there's the back of the trailer that's been there. How many years has those 2 trailers been out in front of you?
You mean behind me?
Yeah, behind you there. How many
Well,
years?
the one encroaches on the easement, and Bob Bogan put that in 1974. And I didn't, my aunt and uncle owned that property at the time. I didn't purchase that property till 2018.
So the 2 trailers have been there how long?
All those trailers have been down there since I was a boy.
Right, so that's what.
But see, then,
Cindy,
Has it
Cindy, I have a
changed for you
question. You know, it says that where the boundary line of a recreational vehicle park coincides with that of a residential district, other than along a thoroughfare or alley, a yard of at least 25 feet shall be required. So that's saying if it's has a alley adjacent to the recreational vehicle, that a 25-foot yard is not required.
That's what I would take.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
It's no different than, you can build 2. You can use that for setback, you can use that for setback.
Okay. All right, and then, each recreational vehicle must be parked from each other and from the front of other from other park buildings or structures by at least 10 feet. Now, one of the pictures you did had one that appeared not to be 10 feet away.
They're all a minimum of 10 feet.
One of
10 feet in the big scope of that is not very long. Which which one are you
It's
implying?
in it's in an envelope with pictures in it, so. That may not have been yours, I don't know.
Yeah, I wasn't privy to these other, I was hoping someone had pictures of the old dilapidated stuff that was just, I never thought to take pictures of.
Those pictures are from the citizen.
Okay.
So what are you asking?
Is that,
That's a shed.
that's a structure,
Okay.
that's a structure.
That's getting torn down.
Well, it's, right there, it shows, here's,
Now, wait, so you guys are considering a structure, if these guys come and they put a little shed on their lot, they can't do that?
That's an accessory structure. so
That's
it's
an
gotta meet the
accessory
setback
structure.
requirements.
okay, that's by definition, you know, a storage shed in your yard is an accessory structure.
Well, I'll move that trailer back so it's 10 feet away, because there's 70 feet in that lot.
Okay.
I can, you know, and let me tell you, I'm just learning, without the camera, I didn't know this.
Well, any other questions or discussion from the board? Okay, then we have essentially three mechanisms by which we can proceed. One, we can, make a motion to advance with the questions for a special exception. Two, we could make a motion to deny. Or three, we could make a motion to table. Or postpone for the next meeting. Which would not be till January.
Correct.
Correct. So,
If you guys still have questions that you need answered, I have no problem going out and doing any research for questions, which is why I've been emailing. So there's no issue with me doing more research or whatever you
The
guys.
thing we have to remember though is if we deny it, it would be 1 year before he could reapply for a special exception.
Maybe the field.
Yeah, he could appeal, that's absolutely.
I make a motion, we table this until January meeting. I still have problems trying to figure out whether he's legal or not. I think you look back through the thing, I think he's always had a license for it. Through the state, which I think you'll find somewhere along the line,
That ain't what,
may have through the county.
that ain't need a license? I couldn't hear you.
A license through the state for an RV park. Because 25 years ago, state recognized it as being an RV park.
So your question is?
Back in 77, or 07, wasn't it? 07, the state said
Is this
the license come back as an RV
Is this
park.
board discussion?
Yes, yeah. The, I think what Jeff's getting at is if it proceeds with, or predates the zoning ordinance, it would technically be a legally non-conforming recreational park, correct?
Yes, because
Pre
at 07,
1971.
07, we have
Pre-
information from the state. 07, we have, the information from the state says it was an RV park at that point.
07's 31 years after 71.
Yeah. But the question is, you know, we don't know when it was recognized as a recreational vehicle park.
When was the ordinances developed?
1971.
Okay.
And it started back in 63, somebody said, but 63 is a mobile home park, they said.
Well,
Can they,
with the one drawing there, as far as Carroll County's ordinances go, I've got, well, how far back do those drawings go that there was campers less than 480 square feet? Cause that's the Carroll County's definition. So, I know there's a camper that was 1950 something that got tore down.
Did you keep records of all the ones that you tore down and disposed of?
and see the problem you've got.
I can number them ones, but I didn't take pictures, I didn't think it was gonna be,
I've been mobile home park for 30-some years, and they started out making 8 by 32, and then went 8 by 40, then went 10 by
Right.
40, 10 by 50, now they're 16 by 80, or maybe larger than that.
Right.
So when we started in 73, that they were just starting to make them 10 by 50, so that's 500 square feet.
Right.
8 by 42 is an RV size, if you're going by this, because the county says RV size.
right, and if you look on there, there's quite a few of them, 10 by 46.
Yeah, that was,
seemed to be
and
like.
then went 10 by 50,
Back
and then
in
we
the
just
day.
started in the seventies, they were making, just gonna make it 12 feet wide. We're buying 12, but, now there again, you buy a 12 by 50, they're only, what, 11 by 46? So it depends where you go to actual size of the unit, they count clear to the ton, they count clear to the overhang. So the county goes by size of the unit, not by the overhang. You buy a 12 by 50 mobile home, it's only 11 by 46.
Does anybody here know when the first camper?
So that was for most of them below the 450 square feet.
Does anybody know what year there was the first mobile home there?
Mobile home or camper?
Mobile home, when's the first
Well,
time they
it's
started putting?
possible.
I can research it if you guys.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
You know, correct me if I'm wrong, Cindy, but, you know, if it goes back to, say, in the sixties, and, would be deemed a recreational vehicle park, then it would be a legally non-conforming operation. And it hasn't been shut down for any period of time during that operation, has it? So if it is, even if it's changed ownership, you know, it would still be legally non-conforming.
The question is it, would it legally be considered a recreational vehicle, park, or
A mobile
is it
home
mobile
park.
home park? That's
By
the
who?
question.
Yeah, and we don't know the answer to that.
By who?
And when did they change it? When did, maybe one was both for a while. I had both in my park. I had RVs and I had, mobile home both. And they inspected it, nobody ever said anything. The state inspected it quite often.
If we were to, if it turns out it would be a legally non-conforming, you know, and we would deny it, then we would be subject to potential legal action, correct?
Correct.
Isn't it the permanent versus temporary also come into play?
So if they build a deck and a porch on, does that make it?
They're not attached. They can
No,
go
I
like
mean for
that
the
right
previous, even the mobile home.
Does it what?
I was asking if a deck and an overhang or porch roof.
That becomes part of that structure. So I guess not having any permit documents on, I don't know how to, because we classify stuff. We put permanent, we got non-permanent, permanent, and we, on our application. So the question is, can they just take out in the middle of the night when they're gonna take a deck apart?
No,
So that's, or do they just unhook it, or?
that's not correct.
Yeah, so that's the documents I don't have because there wasn't no.
The requirements of the deck with the state and the sewer district, they cannot be attached. So they build them beside it, and people will leave in the summer, some of it for a week or whatever, get their camper fixed to be done, and then back into their,
My comment was in reference to the definition of mobile home versus recreational vehicle, not the current situation.
and the state's definition of a mobile home is one that's a permanent residence. If they don't use a mobile home for a permanent residence, it's defined in the state as a vacation mobile home, and that's underneath a campground, not underneath a
So
mobile
we
home.
need to figure out how it was used back in 71 or before, how the park was used it.
Some of us were.
I'm thinking.
I didn't hear that part.
No, I wasn't.
I really never paid any attention to this.
Are those decks movable, or are they current?
Right, so, I can answer that, is that right?
Well, I think we need to decide what we're gonna do.
Or table it, or.
So what are we gonna do? Postpone this to the January meeting? Or-
Can I make a suggestion if we table it, that we can get rid of the wood, these violations? I wanna be able to get rid of that
Well,
wood.
that's your prerogative to do what you want.
Well, I don't wanna
Well,
get in
they're-
trouble with the county.
The decks are technically not permitted or legal, so that if you wanna get rid of them, that's certainly your
No,
option,
I'm
because they
talking
haven't been
about
illegally.
Cameron, I'm talking about the wood that the campground inspection said I need to take care of, that wood that's along the road there, I need to
Okay.
take care of that. I
And
wanna
the
be,
state
That's a-
says
that's a
you
state
need
thing.
to
It's a
take
State
care of
Department
some
of Health.
things to make their inspection applicable, then I think you can go ahead and do that. We don't have any
Correct.
It's
control
outside of our
over that part
purview.
of it.
That's in the apartment.
One thing that's pending, he doesn't need to do anything for the decks, all right? And I saw it before on some different things that went through here, you know, if it's pending, then the decks have got to earn permits.
Right now, the decks and construction have been a process to our stop work order.
Right. But it do not need to be removed until the final outstate of the meeting in January, correct?
That's, I mean, they don't have a legal permit, so I mean, it's one of those, it's your discretion. I mean, if you guys approve it and allow the decks, I mean, because you can still, they're not legal decks at this point, so.
I think it's not the decks, it's some wood that he had torn out that he's asking. And then
Yeah,
we
so
said
is
that
that,
was
are
the
you referring to
stage.
the decks or the wood?
They're two different.
Those are two separate things.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff, I misunderstood.
So,
I move that we postpone this motion and the table motion of the 120 days to 365 until the January meeting, until we get some research done and some more inspection.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Do we have any discussion from the board? We got questions and ramifications of this, are there anything we need to consider or think about? Well,
you guys need to give me a list of what you'd all want me to turn into, because I'm gonna meet with I'm gonna make a meeting with the state and really tie it down to the exact things that you guys wish, so
Okay.
the January meeting I have.
And the state would have a better chance of being able to go back in their records and find out how long it's been licensed as a campground.
Yeah, the virtual file cabinet, I don't think goes back anyways near that far.
No,
No.
not at all.
So it would be
It
take
goes
the
back into
records.
the eighties some, because I've had to find
Yeah,
underground storage tanks done that way, but I don't think it goes back in the seventies.
okay. Okay,
Is anybody gonna address the IDEM and the Army Corps issues? I'll be happy to look into it for you.
you know, that's really,
It's all through the state.
those are really state and federal issues, those are outside our purview.
Even to injurious of public health, the open
Yeah.
burning, it's not under you guys'.
You know,
Okay, I'll look into it, I'll make sure they're aware of it.
I'm familiar with what you have brought up with, I don't know whether, I don't know one way or another whether it's applicable or not.
It's what I do for a living.
You know, I can't.
Yep, that's fine. I'm just
one
seeing
way or another.
where the ball
We
is.
have no authority over that.
Yeah.
Did we vote?
No, so, no, we got a motion, and we got a second. Second. Teresa, second?
I did.
Okay, and no more discussion, I'll call a question, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries, so this has been postponed until the January meeting. Okay,
And Cameron, I hope you don't have any issues with people saying, well, we had Thanksgiving and now it's Christmas.
I will shut my calendar down for a week if I have to get what we gotta get.
okay,
Thank you for your work.
all right,
I would guess also when we go out, look for places where, well, green, for shrubs and stuff. Right.
okay. I
It
probably,
doesn't have to be everywhere, it doesn't have to be the whole thing, but places where you need some.
it's easier to see in person than it
Yes,
is.
yes, it's hard to tell.
I have not. I have been out there.
We need to send like Trevor out there to clean the place up. He said we should come around
Okay, so, next item we have on the agenda is BZA meeting dates 2022. So in your packet, we have proposed dates for the 2022 meeting.
Still the Tuesday.
Or Tuesday of the
Fourth
month,
Tuesday of the month.
minus December.
Yep,
Yep, less December.
I move we accept it.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded, discussion from the board. Hearing none, call the question, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have dates for 2022. Okay. Director's report.
Short and sweet, we had, to date, we have 43 new homes. I went, a few of you were in here we've been very busy. We had several more, almost doubled what we had for, variances and special exceptions for 2020. I'll keep it short and sweet, we've been busy, thank you guys for serving on the BZA for the year, appreciate your work and dedication, and we're gonna keep chipping along like we do.
So what's the value this year compared to last year? Do you have that information? I don't know.
You should have it. Everything's been sent to them, yep, so that,
We didn't get it printed.
Cindy,
Hi.
anything to report?
Not much, just helping him whenever he can.
Okay. Additional information or concerns of the board. I want to bring up one thing. I was looking at the Delphi zoning ordinance. I brought this up to the mayor earlier this evening. In the zoning districts for the city of Delphi, there are variances and special exceptions, but there is no mechanism to approve a special exception, only to approve variances. So I think that needs to be addressed. Cindy, as
I just saw it.
I brought that up to Cindy. It's a state requirement that we have a mechanism for variances and special exceptions, so Delphi needs to address their zoning ordinance and correct that, what I would consider most probably an oversight. So that's the only thing I have.
So you support that special exceptions or
There is
It's in the city
a
zoning page.
procedure for variances, but there is no procedure for special exceptions.
But even the language for variances is not, does not comply with what the current code is.
Yeah.
So that section needs to be redone.
which was proposed a few years ago and did not, I believe.
Yeah, I think that was one
Yep.
fixed
Yeah,
before.
okay. Well, maybe if we-
But, yeah, I mean, if we're going forward with the new,
MU.
zoning for towns, that would be a good time to kind of block that in too. I can draft that doesn't have to be done by
Well,
the town we use, yeah.
I brought it up to the mayor and that their attorney should take a look at it, you know.
I have to know the agreement, so.
Got special connections with that?
Yeah, probably,
Oh.
my partner.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah. Anything else from anybody else on the board? Hearing none, call the question, yes, sir.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, quick question.
Is 775 a county road?
775.
Yep.
that's that here, that much.
It's the road that runs from 1250 down the hill to the Hambridge addition.
I have no idea, sir.
Now, aren't those streets in Hambridge private?
Yes. Now, yes, they are. The streets, the circle is, but the road is not, and that's county highway.
I have no idea.
Years ago, before they had the water in there was a ferry that went from this side over to Sandy Beach.
Sir, I would say that's probably a good question for the county highway department.
I would guess
Okay,
if it
now-
has a county number, it's more than likely, but you would need to check with the county highway
Okay, I can do that.
department to be sure that it is.
Now, the next question is, if it is a county highway and there are golf carts on it, is it legal for golf carts to be on the county highway?
That's
That's
not
a
a
law
question.
enforcement question.
That's a law enforcement question, that's not for the board of zoning appeals.
Some of the towns have ordinances where they are allowed.
Brookston does, I think.
Delphi does.
Delphi does now.
Yeah, they've got a.
Burlington and Camden do.
Burlington, Camden do.
Burlington,
You have to get a permit to
Where you can
operate.
run them. Yeah, I understand
So,
that.
So, that's something, you need to call over to the county highway department or drive over there or send them a list of questions and
there's
ask
rules
them,
for state
because
roads, but they don't.
sometimes roads got numbered that were not officially accepted as roads.
Well, I remember that road when it was gravel, so there, but anyway. Those kids on the golf carts that he is talking about, They're not even 16, some of them.
Yeah.
Some of them are noisy. And they're on a private road.
Sir, there are rules, and certain recreational vehicles are permitted on county roads with a DNR permit.
Yeah.
You know, I do not know what those are,
Well, I'll go check it.
you know, and, I do know they're permitted on county roads, they're not permitted on state highways, and they're only permitted to cross a state highway immediately across and not
Unless it's snowing.
travel up and down the road, and,
I don't think I
which,
would be in a golf cart in snow.
You do what, dear?
I would not wanna be in a golf cart in snow, they don't handle that well.
And sometimes there's requirements for them to have the big orange, flags on there, or the SMV symbols. There's so many things that we
Yeah.
can't, that's not
it's
what we
outside
know.
of our purview.
Okay, well, now I know where to go.
But I would start with county highway.
County highway and county sheriff's department is another one, you know, to ask, because they would know. So, any other,
I would we adjourn.
okay, a motion, second, in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everybody, for showing up for the meeting, you know,